I wanted to hip you to what I thought was a fascinating opinion piece in MSNBC. Now, it's not fascinating because it's right in any way, shape, or form. It's fascinating because it gets you kind of in the mind of one of the libs. The headline from MSNBC, this opinion piece by a guy named Andy Craig, is "Some Democrats in Congress are starting to talk about impeachment. They're right. It's time to stop beating around the bush. Trump needs to be impeached and removed from office." Now, of course, that is a ridiculous headline, and most conservatives would gloss over it and roll their eyes as far back that their head possibly allows. However, I actually took the time and read this piece of garbage, and what I found was fascinating. Now, this was a 19-paragraph opinion piece article, again, in MSNBC, talking about the impeachment of Donald Trump. Now, the first part of it goes to, well, there are some Democrats that are saying we should impeach him. And the second part says, well, some of the mainstream Democrats say that, well, that's we've done this too many times. It's not useful. And then they argue back and forth on whether or not they should impeach. Then he quotes Alexander Hamilton on what impeachment actually is. And then finally, in paragraph 16, almost the very end of this article, does he finally state, well, why? And he goes on to levy a bunch of vague and not realistic charges against the president and culminates with this. I'm quoting here, "But there is one charge encompassing the sum of it all, the supreme constitutional crime of tyranny." And that, of course, actually, makes quite a bit of sense, because we all know that President Trump was tyrannical when he mandated vaccines on all federal employees. We know President Trump was tyrannical when he pressured social media platforms to censor his adversaries. And we all know that President Trump's tyrannical move to preemptively pardon his entire family. Well, wait a minute. That's actually Joe Biden that did all of those sorts of things. I think he might be getting the tyranny wrong when it comes to the presidents that he's levying charges against. So with all of that, I think my main takeaway is, if Democrats seek to impeach President Trump again, good luck. How did that go the last couple times? And do you think you'll actually gain a political advantage from it? My guess is no, but I would love to hear what other people think. So here joining us today to talk about that and so much more is the elections reporter from The Federalist, Brianna Lyman, and conservative commentator Lily Kate. Guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Brianna, I want to start with you here. Just politically speaking, you cover elections, and I think a lot of that has to, you probably look at polling quite often too. Does this seem like a move if libs were to try and impeach the president again? Is that going to be a good move with them in the upcoming elections? Are they going to benefit from that, or are a bunch of people going to roll their eyes like I would?
I think it's going to be the latter of the two. If you look at the polling, first of all, you had 18 to 29-year-old men who shifted 29 points to the right from 2020 to 2024. 18 to 29-year-old men are not thinking about impeaching Donald Trump. What they're thinking about is, can I put food on the table and can I put a roof over my family's head? And in the months leading up to the election, I read so many articles from men who were either Democrats or independents who didn't even like Donald Trump for a while and said, at the end of the day, it's about if I can put food on the table and a roof over my family's head. They want policies that help them feel like they can lean into their masculinity. So that's not going to win them over. Then you look at the sizable shift we saw with Black and Latino voters. At the top of their list is also non-impeachment, right? It is crime, economy, and immigration. So Democrats are doing this to appease a base that they don't have to worry about. And until they understand that that's not a winning strategy, if they continue down this path, I do think they're going to lose worse in 26 and 28 than 24.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily know if that's a bad thing. Lily, so kind of same kind of situation here. Are they not reading the room correctly? Like, what is going on in the mind of somebody who again, seriously writes this? If you would have told me that this article was from the Babylon Bee, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. But then this is a serious guy saying serious things in, well, what some would say is a serious outlet, MSNBC. What's going on there?
Well, and to add on to the seriousness of the article, the operation to get Donald Trump impeached this third or fourth or fifth or sixth time it's been proposed is actually called Operation Anti-King. So if you click on the link at the top of the opinion piece that you were mentioning, it takes you to this 3-bullet point proposal that basically says on April 7th, 2025, over 600 constituents asked their congressional offices if they support impeaching Donald Donald Trump through Operation Anti-King. And we know that they define tyranny as basically anything that I just don't like and don't agree with. And so they're trying to get rid of the person who they think is on the throne, which is kind of an indictment about how they view the presidency anyway. I mean, Republicans, people on the right, conservatives, libertarians, and independents view the president's office as the president. But it seems as if the left has really taken the view that the president is actually the king and needs to be dethroned if the king does anything they don't like. So it's actually with anti-serious makeup over the whole movement.
Yeah, anything I don't like is tyranny and fascism and probably racist, I think, somehow. That seems to be the lib playbook.